Guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to deep dive on the most common problem I see in metal guitar players and students who come to me, and we're going to deep dive in how to correct it. So let's get you guys chugging. Okay, so 99 times out of 100, when a new student comes to me, I see a common mistake being made with the student's right hand. This mistake is so common and so pervasive amongst the guitar community, and particularly the metal playing community, that I wanted to make a video on this today to start to address it, to help the greater community, as well as give some of my existing students some extra pointers and tips in how to correct this on their guitar playing journey. This video is super important because if you are making this mistake currently, we really need to fast track on getting you on the right track, because if you make this mistake, you are going to add years to your playing and it is extremely hard to undo. So this video is designed so that we can quickly course correct you if you are making this mistake, or if you aren't making this mistake just yet, you can save yourself years of frustration, heartache, and hassle on the guitar, and we can get you chugging and towards your guitar playing goals sooner. So a quick story here, guys. I had a student one time. His name, for the sake of this video, let's call him Bob. Bob came to me and he goes, "Cam, I just can't get above a certain speed when I'm playing metal stuff. I don't get what's going on. I think it's something with my right hand, but I'm not completely sure. But every time I try to play fast, I feel like I'm kind of just limited. I feel like I'm hitting a wall. I feel like I'm stuttering." So I get Bob to sit down and play a little bit in front of me, and I have a look at his right hand. And sure enough, he was committing this common mistake that I see amongst so many guitar players. This mistake is called double downpicking. Now, what is double downpicking? So what Bob was doing was every time he was changing string on the guitar, he was using gravity, breaking his picking pattern, and starting on a new string with a downstroke. So an example of this is like this. We play 3 notes on the bottom string. We end on a downstroke. So if we are alternate picking, we should be down, up, down, and then we go to the A string with the downstroke. Now, this is unintentional economy picking, or what I call double down picking. So what we should be doing is alternate picking with this and hitting that A string with an upstroke. But at first, for most guitar players, this is not intuitive. What is intuitive is using gravity, or the direction that your arm is traveling, to then set the stroke. So sometimes people will change strings with a downstroke if they're going down in this direction, like this. And they are breaking their alternate picking pattern, and they are not using their wrist because their arm is taking over. Now, similarly, sometimes I see the other problem when players are coming down their scales or down their strings in pitch, where they'll be using upstrokes. So they will start like this. Upstroke, upstroke, upstroke. Now this is actually a technique called economy picking, but the problem is when we aren't doing it intentionally and we are just subconsciously changing strings using this technique. But the problem is created when we are using this technique without thinking about it, and we are driving it so deep into our subconscious that we are breaking our picking patterns and creating a little bit of a mess when we change strings. This is something that I see with metal guitar players all the time. Now, if you practice your economy picking as a technique intentionally, and you're actually meaning to do this, no problem. But if it's unintentional, and you are defaulting to a down pick every time you change strings, you're going to create problems with your playing, particularly when your playing gets more advanced and you are playing more complex rhythmic patterns or riffs or scales and lead guitar work. So if we go back to Bob, Bob had been doing this pattern for about 15 years in his playing. And no wonder he felt stuck. No wonder he felt like he had barriers. So when I started to get him to play some more complex metal work, like say Lamb of God, stuff that's more scale-based in its riffs, he was having real hard times with changing strings. Now, if you're playing stuff like Metallica and all the down picky chuggy stuff, no problem. And that is actually where I find this problem actually comes from. Look, we all love Metallica. We all love James Hetfield. We all know that he would downpick riffs like this, like Master of Puppets. And it's absolutely amazing and incredible what he did. And Dave Mustaine from Megadeth too. These guys are the forefathers of this downpicking technique. But when it is applied to scale-based riffs and scale-based lead guitar work, this creates all sorts of problems. It breaks the rhythm of the right hand, it breaks the momentum of the right hand, and it means that you're ultimately going to be creating an artificial speed ceiling on your right hand that you cannot get above unless you intentionally address it. So how do we fix this problem? The first thing is that we need to consciously understand alternate picking and its role. Alternate picking, very simple in nature. We are going to follow a downstroke with an upstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But we are going to do this strictly in a way where if we're changing strings or doing whatever moving around the guitar, we still follow that picking pattern. We do not break it. This creates momentum in the right hand. This creates a predictable pattern in the right hand that when you're changing strings, your right hand does not have to stop and it can start to actually build up speed and move faster and faster. The second step is starting to practice all of your guitar playing with alternate picking. So if I take the A minor scale, for example, we want to make sure that when we're changing strings here, we're going to be following the alternate picking pattern. So I'm going to play the following notes. I'm going to play 5, 7, 8 on the bottom string, then 5, 7, 8 on the next string. Now I will be down, up, down on the E string, and then on the A string, up, down, up. And then if I continue my pattern, on the next string I'm going to play 5, 7, 9. I'll be down, up, down. Now, I'm going to play 5, 7 on the G string this time, and I will be up, down, and then I will be on the 5th fret, 6th fret, and 8th fret on the B string, and I will be up, down, up, and then 5, 7, 8 on the top string, down, up, down. So, if you've made a mistake in here when you play this scale, and you've double down picked, then you need to slow down and correct this. Down, up, 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 down. That's what we should get for this. And the same going back down. We should not break that pattern. Now, if you do make a mistake and you double down pick or you break your alternate picking when you're changing strings, stop immediately. Correct it, and then iron out the problem in your practice sessions. You do not want to embed a pattern like this. This creates all sorts of problems, as I've discussed earlier in this video, and will actually add years to your playing journey, and a hell of a lot of frustration too. So in the next section of this video, I'm going to provide some exercises you guys can work through to help overcome this common problem. So exercise 1. So you notice in this exercise, every time I hit a note on the A string, I am using an upstroke. This exercise is designed to start to iron out some of the double downstroking habits and problems. Start slow and build up your speed. For this exercise, I have set the fast rep on the metronome at 120 BPM, the slow rep at 60 BPM. You can obviously modify this to your own speed. There is a little fill on the end of the lick as well to make it a little bit more spicy for you metal guys. You should end the lick on an upstroke, and this is always a key indicator of whether you've played a lick with correct right hand alternate picking technique or not. So you'll notice we have a double downstroke on the A string this time, which should be okay because we are downstroking across strings for the first bar. That's pretty common for most people and feels comfortable. But the challenge is introduced in the second bar, where we have a rest for the first beat and then start the next note on an upstroke. This will mess up your coordination a bit if you're not comfortable with alternate picking and you are double downstroking. Exercise number 3. This one gets a little messy as this time we are alternating the stroke direction each time we hit the notes on the A string. The first note is hit with a downstroke, the second with an upstroke, third with a down, fourth with an up, and the start of the fill at the end of this passage uses an upstroke. For this exercise, again, we are playing at 120 BPM fast and slow at 60 BPM. Again, we should finish the last note in the second bar on an upstroke. Exercise number 4. This is a straight rip from one of my favorite bands, Lamb of God, and is borrowing from the riff Laid to Rest. I love this lick because we double up on the rest and preceding upstroke concept that we explored in exercise number 2. This one can be a little tricky to get the coordination right. For this exercise, I've set the fast rep at 120 BPM, the slow one at 60 BPM. Again, we should finish the last note in the second bar on an upstroke. Okay guys, so there you have it. I hope this video helps correct your double downstroking problems if you have them. And if you don't have them and you're not at that stage yet, then make sure you follow the advice in this video and you alternate pick and do not develop this habit. It is one of the worst habits that you can develop on the guitar and will create all sorts of playing. And it is probably also the most common bad habit and bad form technique. Now make sure you go and watch some of my other videos and apply this alternate picking concept to all of your playing.